For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
High school basketball postseason is here, with the girls starting February 3rd and boys March 3rd. Be on every game for as low as $1,500. Sponsor local. Reach millions. Visit heartlandsportsnet.com today for more information.
Welcome, everybody, to the Little Calumet River Basin Development Show. I'm Dan Repay. This is Tom Wyszynski, who's the vice chairman, who normally joins us on the first Tuesday of the month. And here we are, February 3rd, which was actually, it's my parents' anniversary. Yeah, well, I mean, they're no longer here, but it's still their anniversary, I suppose. I'll never forget that.
You know, things pop up in your schedule, and my birthdays and anniversaries pop up every day. Just a couple of days ago was a birthday of my aunt, who was one of my best friends. So.
See? Is that the one in Lafayette?
Yeah.
Nice.
La Fiesta.
All right. So, anyways, we're here on the first Tuesday of the month and talking about river issues and things and projects. And we, even though the weather, some people have been able to get away from this weather. I have stayed the course.
Well, we've had a huge milestone here, Dan, since the last meeting. I
would like to know what that is.
It only took 4 or 5 years
that one.
For the Corps of Engineers to approve a permit for us, which is like, break out the champagne, because we've been asking for permission to do this project for many years, and finally we got confirmation to do it, which is so
was
Jamie, a shock to everybody.
Jamie out there, I'll never forget.
Shout out to Jamie.
He's been consistent, and we've been trying to say, hey, we're really have done everything, and it was back and forth, and I can't even begin to describe you the process. You talk about government efficiency. I will tell you that isn't one of them. They are nice people, but not very efficient. But
the process changes every month.
Yeah, and depending on who's there. But we finally got permission to take away the sediment inside the river at Kennedy Avenue. Kennedy Avenue is going to be, and you'll probably hear later in this program, that whole area is going to be sort of a hotbed of activity this summer.
So give a quick background. So, folks, the water from Hardstitch rushes down in huge rain events. And basically everything gets stirred up at the bottom, and there's a lot of sediment and runoff that gathers within the system. And then it dumps out and basically makes a right going
It just
east,
settles. It's a settling pond.
East towards the lake. And there's a certain point, which is right by Kennedy Avenue, where everything kind of meanders over, and everything just sits right there. It's almost like a sieve that holds back the water.
If you're really bored at home and you've got nothing better to do on this bright and sunny, shiny day, you go to Google Earth and look through the years of how it has filled in. And to what Tom has said is all this stuff has come down. We are trying to eliminate that along Hardstitch, but it still happens.
It impedes the flow. People don't see it, but over the last 5 years, we've been very, very active in working basically from Dyer all the way to where the Little Cal meets Hardstitch and Highland to basically rebuild the banks and put riprap, which is a huge rock, and gabion baskets, which holds back the sides of the walls of the
we're just trying to stabilize
so there is no erosion, and we don't get that silt that runs off into Hardstitch, which ultimately winds up in the river. So we're making some big headway on that. We're into year 5 of that
Yeah, year
long
5
project.
into that. And we probably have about 2 more years to go, just because it's very costly. It's difficult to, it's time consuming, and that's another project that we're doing right now.
The access there, folks, is very difficult because over the years you've got a lot of development that happened along Hart's Ditch, and they put those houses right up against the ditch, and hindsight's always 20/20, but they didn't leave us much of areas to access in there if we ever have to do work. And then you got the trees and the dogwoods and the cottonwoods and every wood you could think of that grew up in there, and it's leaning and it's sitting and dying, and making sure that tributary is free from any kind of impedance is critical to what we do here. Because in the end of the story here, folks, 2008 came, and one of the big problems with 2008 is right before that flood of 2008, we had that big tornado in August, and we had still not recovered completely to clear out all the trees that were down, and basically all that stuff floats down the system and gets caught up in everything you could think of. And think of your drain and your sink. You're pouring food down there, and you don't have a food disposal, and it gets clogged up.
Just think of your gutters on your house. I always use it.
Gutters on your house.
Like, look, the leaves fall, and if you don't do it, then things start growing, and you just have little trees growing out there.
And that's probably a better analogy.
It's not
because,
great.
The whole idea here is to make sure that we're maintaining the system, and we're doing things from a proactive standpoint to make sure that the water is flowing through the system. So
now that we got permission, and as long as it does, that's huge.
Major milestone.
The snow stays away relatively, then you should start seeing activity there. I would imagine later this month, just because it's the time to do it. There's no growth, no thing. So that will be a fun project that we are going to do just on the maintenance side. And then we're also on the maintenance side, we're doing I-94, which we got permits for from INDOT, which is important. We aren't working from the road, which is a very big safety hazard. So you'll start seeing some of those ditches cleared.
Yeah, that's going to be important because you drive down I-94, you see all the phragmites that are growing up, and those things get, almost like reeds.
But we're not going to be able to get rid of the phragmites completely.
No.
It's going to look cleaner. It's going to flow better. But the phragmites, look that up too in your Google world. Phragmites are super invasive. They spread.
Basically a giant weed.
Yeah, and they choke it out. And so they're everywhere up in Northwest Indiana.
we've got a lot of good experience with basically taking an area that was completely overgrown with phragmites and turning it back to where it was supposed to be. And if you're ever driving down Klein Avenue and you take a gander to the west and see the rookery where all the cranes and the herons are hanging out, that used to be just a big phragmites pond, and we've gotten all that stuff basically evicted, and now it's natural prairie grass.
Now we have to do patrols of it.
Yes, we still maintain it and to make sure that that stuff doesn't come back, because when it comes back with a vengeance. But we're continuing that process, not only there, but along the other places in the system. We've got a huge area in Gary that we're maintaining to get rid of all the phragmites to return that back to nature.
Off of Grant Street.
And thank goodness we got a lot of partners that we hook up with, the Audubon Society, Lake County Parks, just to make sure that not only are we maintaining the system, but we're also maintaining the natural habitats and things of that nature to make sure that goes through. But a lot of things happening. 2026 looks like a very, very busy year. Last meeting we opened bids for the Kennedy Avenue Bridge. If you're driving up and down Kennedy Avenue, you'll see that the walls have been created, come up to the bridge, and then they drop off about 4 or 5 feet, which means that the bridge is a hole in the system.
Yep.
And requires a lot of human intervention, and the intervention is sandbags, road closures, things of that nature. So we're still in the discussion standpoint, but we opened the bids for that, and it's quite possible that could be a project for this year. Still needs to be vetted and approved, but it's moving down the track, so to speak.
I mean, and that's not a cheap project,
No.
but that's probably one of the reasons why it was pushed off is because it wasn't.
Yeah,
cheap.
we've been planning for this for a long, long time, and we go back and
8
forth.
years.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth as to the whether to do it or not. And the whole idea is when we produced multiple books of what to do in the event of a flood, that was one of the key holes in the system. That if there was a 200-year event, the water would come over and then invade the area, and hopefully we can finally get rid of that one. And once we do that, I mean, it's we're in a good position
Along the Little Cal, yes.
System-wise, along the Little Cal, to make sure we mitigated the human intervention as far as any kind of closures and things of that nature.
And then as I had a meeting last week with the city of Hobart and some folks from the engineering team, both SEH and DLZ, to talk about, Deep River is sort of like no one wants to talk about it, but probably a very critical tributary.
I wouldn't say, very important, but I wouldn't say that nobody wants to talk about it, because we've made huge strides in Deep River to mitigate, and now we're looking at stuff that's, okay, let's take the next step. Do we look at rebuilding the dam? Do we look at Wisconsin Street? Do we look at other aspects of within Deep River to keep that water flowing through the system?
And I think when I say that is our name says Little Cal, but the authority and responsibility is throughout the watershed, and that is the Little Cal watershed. So the name, I remember going through this when I first started, which believe it or not, Tom, has been 16 years. Next Monday will be 16 years.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn told me that. So it's important.
If you're 16, I'm longer than that.
I know you are. I know.
I don't even think about that. I was appointed by the then Governor Daniels, former president of Purdue University, I think in 2009.
So you're one more year longer than I am, but we face that challenge because everyone says, well, you're the Little Cal. No one cares about Hobart. No one cares about Maryville. And to your point, and we have the documents to prove it, and all these communities know what we do is we do spend money there because we have to, because it's important to everybody in the watershed, including wherever you are. Crown Point, we have two projects that you guys listened to at the last meeting. One dealing with 231 and Broadway, and everyone's like, well, 231 and Broadway, there's a bank over there and there's a law center, but that impacts the drainage in Crown Point.
I recall we had a couple of big rain events over the last 10 years, and they literally had to close 231 because the water went over the top of the roadway, and that's a major thoroughfare through there.
Well, and if you see in after the presentation, you see why that sometimes is because the way that they put that drainage in wasn't straight. It's almost like a Z, and water doesn't tend to flow very well under those circumstances, and that's a project that you guys have under consideration, and Edgewater is another one out in Crown Point. So everyone focuses on, the Little Cal, and you're done with the Fed. Well, we're not always done with the Fed. We're mostly done with the Fed, but there are still projects that we partner with communities and the county.
We're not going to solve everybody's water and drainage problem, and nor would we claim that we're going to do that. What we do is we look at specific projects that are going to be a positive to the whole of the system and to the communities that are within the watershed. And I think we do a fairly good job of making sure that everybody gets served.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, and I don't know what, I mean, the board goes through their decision process. I give them whatever the recommendations are, but, there are communities that aren't happy. Lake Station, you weren't able to give Lake Station what they were looking for. Lake County Parks was looking for us to acquire property.
But that happens. You look at the 10,000-foot view and you say, okay, that's fine. This go around, the timing wasn't good, and it didn't work into what our charter or what we're trying to accomplish. But I mean, you look at the positive things that happen in Lake Station, as far as the rebuilding of the Lake Station Dam to rock riffle, and now we're going to be doing some more work to connect some trailways to connect the various parks and stuff. So, you look at little things that are going to make positive impacts on a lot of people's lives. So we're always focused on the communities, and they're going to come to us with multiple projects. And just because that project didn't get approval may not mean it's never going to get approval, but it just wasn't high on the priority list within what we're trying to accomplish immediately.
The Lake Station Dam, I think, is probably one of the most underrated projects that the commission has done since I've been here, just from the pure impact on the entire watershed, that community in particular, and what it has transformed it to be.
And the railroad bridge that's a little bit
that's another
north
good one.
of
Old Ridge
Road. There used to be this old railroad bridge with, like, let's call them 3 cylinders that basically carried all the water from the south to the north.
Yep.
And we removed that. We partnered with the railroad, built a whole new bridge, and the water flow is tremendously better.
There was a 3.5-foot differential from upstream to downstream. I will tell you, so anybody that's in Porter County or Hobart, anything along Duck Creek, we have basically solved by reducing that. And so that's sort of the thing that we look at. But yeah, I forgot about that. And when you say partnered, I still remember the first communication I had with the railroad, and I said, look, we're looking to do this. They're like, no, you're not.
Absolutely
and
not.
I'm
The
like,
first thing out of their mouth was no. And then when we went through the analysis and then talked with them and talked to their engineers about literally partnering with them and acquiescing with them as far as what they were looking for to
their
get
design
done. And the design, and they were 100% on board. And boy, oh boy, that the impact of that. And I always talk about right after that, we went through Deep River and cleaned out all the old trees, and we had some of the old timers come up to us and said, no one's touched that stuff in 40 years?
It was someone said 30, 40 years, so yeah. I believe it. So I think we were given the warning of 10 minutes, but if you have a phone call, don't try to rush in at the end. And if you don't have a phone call and you're super exhilarated about this, then
845-1100.
Just listen. Yeah,
still 845-1100?
I think we're still 845-1100.
Yeah, we're in the old studio here.
We're in the old/new studio. I was informed that I have to move a table after this. I think we'll take that off of our bill, our invoice coming for this. But
we got to figure out what our rate is.
Yeah, it's reduced rate for the accommodations. However, it's still a good time. Thank you, Adriana, so far for this. We appreciate you putting up with us in this great place. But if there are, I always tell people, if there are projects that you're worried about, like, we got even involved in a data center. I was asked about data centers. And I said, look, you have to remember, each community still has detention and retention criteria that they have to conform to within their own community. So it's not like you're going to get any more or less rainwater. They have to store that water on site as a part of the SWIP program. And so, people are like, oh, the data. I go, you can have your discussions about data centers and everything else, but as far as stormwater, we're comfortable in our position. And I know Hobart's going through a large transformation. I know there's some folks that are objecting to it, but we're, from a stormwater standpoint, not impacted by it.
Yeah, the good news, folks, is not only are we looking at current, but we're looking down the road. And when we talk about projects like we just spoke about in Hobart and Lake Station, those affect Maryville, Winfield, Crown Point, east side to
could have impact.
Could have impact in a positive way, because if you're driving down 30 and you look to the east or west as you're driving down, or not 30, but
65,
and you see the monstrous development that's happening along that corridor.
Yep.
That water, folks, has got to go somewhere. It used to go in the ground where it was farmland, but now it's going into a sewer, it's going into a tributary, and it's eventually coming to us.
And so they have to plan for that. And we are, and communities know this, they're familiar with us, they have their own plans and their storage. The state has their guidelines as to making sure the water, you don't increase impacts downstream from you. So as long as those detention ponds are functioning the way they should, I mean, just like we talk about the convention center, or if you want to get you want to get goofy and start saying the Bears Stadium, all that goes to the river.
It very well could, because you're looking at a footprint over there off of Burr Street when they're talking about putting the convention center. It's more than talk; it's going to happen. We've got to make sure that our system is correctly designed and operating to handle the additional flow, because when you talk about the convention center, you talk about concrete jungle. You're talking about paving over dirt and putting asphalt, and where's that water got to go, folks? It's got to go somewhere. And
I will tell you, some ancillary developers to that convention center have already asked us for the plans for our pump station to make sure that we have enough there. So, I mean, we're not talking about specifically, but that's the type of stuff that happens, that people don't care about floods until it starts raining.
And the beauty part, folks, is we are talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
We are looking, and that conversation happens on a continuous basis. What about those pumps? What's the sizing of those pumps? Are they working? Is that pump station working? Is everything operating up to snuff? Do we have to expand it? Do we have to do something bigger there? So the beauty part is we're anticipating things like that. What's happening south of 30? How much water can come through the system? Fortunately for us, we had Burke, who's done a lot of engineering, water engineering throughout the county, doing a study right now as to all the projects that we've done and completed and how that's going to affect if I overlay the 2008 flood event in mitigating what happened there. And hopefully they come back and say, everything you guys have done to this point would basically eliminate what happened in 2008. That's our hope is.
So that we thought that report would be done in February. It is kind of done, but we have bigger priorities right now. We have a lot of projects to do and to bid out and to award, and there's a lot of moving parts. But that study, as Tom indicated, not only the 2008 flood, which is a cool scenario to drop on it. Maybe it would have failed regardless. But
we won't know until they do that study, which they're just about done with. And our goal was to always say to each other, okay, we did everything exactly the way it was supposed to be done, and we went even beyond that. And now, the way it's set up right now, hopefully, when we do the model, that's what it is. Model.
It's a giant. It's not a model like a train. It's a model where you put a scenario into it and say it's going to rain 10 inches in 3 days, and the soil is dry, or the soil is just received 2 inches, and then it says, "All right, tell me what happens." Oh, okay, the Kennedy Avenue gets overtopped. Oh, this one's okay.
And it may not be 100%.
They're pretty good at that stuff.
It's pretty.
They're Purdue guys.
Yeah,
come on. Well, they're Purdue engineers, so
we have our druthers,
everybody's
not perfect,
like Fletcher Lawyer, but that's all right. Anyways,
he came back. He's
sorry.
He's
anyways, so with that, we're getting a guest speaker here, evidently.
You are getting
a
guest speaker.
Are we being kicked out?
I don't know. I can't hear myself.
That's fine. We're actually happy for that.
Yeah.
He's sauntering in.
Yes.
See, he's got his coat on. He just had a NIPSCO interview because he didn't pay his NIPSCO bill and it's freezing cold.
NIPSCO's a good partner of the locale, for the record.
Hey, listen, we have a whole crew out here, and we need your heft to lift Wislinski, you and I can stay away. We got a number of people.
They need your heft.
I've been called a lot of things. Heft is not one of them, but
attitude.
My degree is in construction management, so I'm a manager.
Okay, me too. I got a slight thing here.
I'm a laborer, so I'm good.
Yeah. So I do want to say one thing, just the shameless plug.
Well, move in the
move it. No, get off your knees, please.
What are you laughing about? I do want to do the shameless plug like we always do that. We're kind of getting close to the culmination of our interviews and gathering of stuff for the documentary about the 2008 flood. And if anybody seen, took a picture, has newspaper clippings, whatever it might be, please get a hold of me personally, Jed, JED at WJOB1230.com.
They can contact me as well as the office.
Yeah, they can contact you as well. And Dan and I are going to watch the first 30 minutes of footage today, and we're going to so we're getting kind of close. We need that stuff. We still have some holes on some of the stuff that happened in Hobart and in Gary
Lake
and
Station.
in Lake Station. We don't have as much footage, and we don't have as many pictures of that stuff. So Dan and I talked yesterday. We're doing a little podcast about some of it. Adriana will post that shortly. But that's my shameless plug, man. Do you have any at home?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, drone technology came after the flood, because if we had some drone technology...
We have some. We understand there's some helicopter footage out there that we have not gotten our hands on.
We have it.
I know you have some of it, but there were some other ones.
More people with more helicopters?
Yeah, there was another helicopter, like a private helicopter, and we can't get that.
Well, we have the sheriff's helicopter, and I know NIPSCO was up, so if you have that access.
We need the access of all of that. Dan and I talked about that day and what led up to it. Dan was a Hammond City councilman at the time, so we will release that podcast in the next week or so. And part of the reason I want to do that is just so that we can get any more elements and put it out right now. We need them now. Put it that way.
Well, you need my heft right now, so we're gonna sign off.
Oh yes, and there's plenty of heft out here for the Munster.
Big fan of heft.
Yeah.
Hey,
I would like a T-shirt that just says
by heft.
That's a good segue into folks. If you see something, say something. Contact Dan at our
595-0599.
Or you can email any of the. Go on the website, littlecavalrybasinCommission.org, and email any one of us, Jody, Dan, or
that's it. That's our entire staff.
Yeah, our crack staff of two, and we will address it and hopefully get it on the radar, folks. And we appreciate you. We want you to be engaged. Our next meeting is the third Wednesday, always the third Wednesday of the month, at our offices on Calumet Avenue, 9410 Calumet Avenue, 4th floor, and we have a meeting room there all set up. And you can also access through Zoom as well. I'll just go on the website, and all the links are there. Jody's got them up, and you just click on and you're in. Or you can watch the old videos.
They're there too.
So I'd say we're probably as transparent as we can be about what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and it's all there for the taking.
Well, thank you very much, Adriana. Appreciate it.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, my heft is needed. I will see you.
Becoming a truck driver doesn't have to be complicated. At Schneider, we make it easy to get your commercial driver's license and start your new career. With our CDL apprenticeship training, you'll get paid to become a